Imagine this, a galactic empire that has crushed 100 worlds. Their fleets move like shadows across the stars, and no species has ever resisted for long. When they arrive, civilizations either bow or burn. But then, one day, they made a mistake. They came across a small, fragile-looking species, humans. A species with no claws, no scales, no natural armor. Just soft skin, bones that break too easily, and lifespans that barely scratch a century. The Empire thought Earth would be easy prey. They were wrong. And today, I'm going to tell you why. But before I dive into this story, what do you think? Is that makes humans so unique compared to other species? Is it our stubbornness, our creativity, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because you might see them in the next episode. Now, let's begin. The first encounter was quiet. The Zereth Dominion sent a scout fleet into Sol, expecting an easy conquest. From orbit, Earth looked unimpressive: patches of green, blue oceans, and tiny cities glowing faintly against the night. The Zereth commander laughed. Primitive. They haven't even colonized half their own system. This will be quick. The humans responded differently. They didn't beg. They didn't surrender. Instead, their radio channels filled with one phrase, repeated in every language: "We do not kneel." The aliens didn't understand. No species had ever spoken like that before. Most pleaded for mercy. Some offered tribute, but humans, they brodcast defiance before the first shot was even fired. And that was the first sign the Zereth had underestimated them. The invasion began with overwhelming firepower. Orbit 2 surface bombardments turned cities into rubble. Whole regions were cut off in days. By all logic, humanity should have collapsed. But here's the thing about humans when cornered. They don't just fight, they adapt. The survivors didn't surrender. They scattered, regrouped, and began fighting a war the Zereth had never faced before. Guerrilla warfare. Aliens were used to open battles, fleets clashing in space, armies marching on the ground. But humans didn't play fair. They hid in forests, deserts, ruins, even sewer tunnels. Every destroyed city became a fortress. Every cave became a bunker. And what the Zereth didn't realize was that humans had been practicing this for thousands of years. From tribal skirmishes to global wars, humanity had perfected the art of surviving against impossible odds. At first, the Zereth saw it as an annoyance. Pests, they called them. But soon, reports grew disturbing. A Zereth patrol would vanish without a trace. A supply convoy would be destroyed by improvised explosives. Entire squads were lured into ambushes by decoys made out of scrap metal and broken radios. Humans didn't just fight with weapons, they fought with creativity. One intercepted human transmission chilled the alien high command. "We'll use anything. Rocks, fire, broken glass. If it hurts them, it's a weapon." This level of desperation was new to the Zereth. They couldn't understand why humans wouldn't simply accept defeat. But you and I know the truth. Humans don't stop when survival is on the line. Pause for a moment. If you were in that situation, your world under invasion, what would you do? Would you resist? Would you hide? Or would you stand and fight like these humans did? Let me know down in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of moral dilemma that makes HFY stories so fascinating. Alright, back to the story. Months passed, and what was supposed to be a swift conquest turned into a nightmare for the invaders. The Zereth had superior ships, weapons, and technology. But humans had something the Empire lacked: unity born of desperation. Nations that once fought each other suddenly allies. Rivals turned into brothers in arms. Entire cultures pooled their knowledge and resources into one goal: survival. And here's the kicker: the more humans fought, the smarter they got. They reverse-engineered captured weapons, turning alien rifles against their owners. They hacked supply drones, rerouting them to human camps. Engineers built railguns out of scrapyard parts and satellites. One Zereth general famously reported, "We destroyed their infrastructure. We burned their cities. Yet somehow, every day, there are more of them fighting us, more traps, more resistance." It's as if the planet itself breeds defiance. The Empire couldn't comprehend it. But here's what they didn't know about. US, we're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, we're not the smartest, but we are the most relentless. Humans can endure starvation, exhaustion, trauma and still keep moving forward. Soldiers fought even when wounded. Civilians armed themselves with whatever they could find. Children carried messages through bombed streets so resistance cells could coordinate. The Zeroth saw humans as fragile. But in truth, fragility was there. Strength. Bones break but they heal stronger. Skin scars but it hardens. And a wounded human doesn't give up, they grow more determined. The Zeroth tried breaking morale with propaganda. They beamed false messages of surrender across the airwaves. But instead of demoralizing humans, those broadcasts only fueled anger. Resistance fighters hijacked the signals, answering with songs, coded jokes, and messages of defiance. For every threat the aliens broadcast, humans answered with laughter or with promises of vengeance. Eventually, the war reached a tipping point. The Zeroth were stretched thin, bleeding resources on a single planet that refused to bow. Their fleets stalled, in orbit, under constant sabotage. Their soldiers couldn't walk a mile on Earth without vanishing into an ambush. And then, the unthinkable happened. Humans, those primitive creatures, took the fight off-world. They hijacked alien ships, learned to fly them, and struck. Back at Zeroth outposts in space. At first, the Zeroth thought it was a fluke. But soon, more and more raids began hitting supply stations and command hubs. Human crews, operating stolen ships patched with Earth technology, fought with reckless, terrifying courage. One resistance leader's message echoed across the stars. You thought Earth was weak, but we are the storm you unleashed, and we are coming for you. That was the moment the Zeroth Dominion realized the truth. They hadn't found a weak species, they had awoken a nightmare. The war did not end in a single glorious battle. It ended in a slow, grinding collapse of the Zeroth. They had conquered 100 worlds, but not this one. The cost was too high, the resistance too fierce, the losses unbearable. When the last Zeroth ships limped out of the Sol system, they left behind not a defeated race but a legend. Humanity had done the impossible. They had defied an empire, and the galaxy would never forget it. From that day forward, whispers spread in the dark corners of space. Whispers about a fragile-looking species that refused to die. A species that would rather fight to extinction than live on its knees. And those whispers carried a warning. Do not corner humans, because when you do, they become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And that's the story of how aliens learned the hard way. You never underestimate humanity. So let me ask you, if the galaxy really was watching us, what do you think they'd fear most about humans? Our creativity, our stubbornness, or maybe our unpredictability? I'd love to hear your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and want more HFY tales just like it, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss the next one. Because remember, every time you support this channel, you're helping keep these human stories alive. Until next time, stay curious, stay strong, and never forget, humans are special.